future of radio is here. New era, TT Radio, NETT Radio. Let's go.
Everybody, and of course, welcome to Every Cent Counts. You are listening to New Era TT Radio, taking you above and beyond the heartbeat of the Caribbean. And of course, on a Monday, it's all about money, 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 and more money. We need it. We need it. We do need it. All right, and of course, joining us in between here is none other than Garth Thomas. Whenever Garth is here with us on a Monday, it's a great time, right? So, Mr. Thomas, a great Monday morning to you.
And a great Monday morning to you, Sir Charles, and to all our listeners out there in New Era TT Radio Land. I like how that sounds, I like how it comes off of my tongue.
Yeah.
Radio Land.
Radio Land.
Yes.
How was your week?
You said something?
I said, how was your week?
Oh, the week was quite challenging, I should say. Continues to be challenging for a while now. But, that is what life is all about. Rising to the challenge instead of getting the challenge, making the challenge knock you down.
Yeah, boy, that is what it's all about. You're so right.
Yes.
So right about that.
So, Charles, today, in my continuing quest to provoke conversations across the land about how we are developing as a nation. What are the benchmarks and goals that we have set to move us along? Now, Sir Charles, we are just over a week away from our 63rd independence anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And as I have said before, and as I say again, an anniversary provides an opportunity for reflection. Normally we have, when you get to Old Year's Day, people do a little bit of reflection on the year past, and they also set some goals. I like to think of it as goals. People talk about resolutions, but I think resolutions have a very finite life. So I don't believe in resolutions, but I believe in goals. And I believe that as a nation, we should have some very specific goals. And I don't know, I think if you did a survey across the land, if you went down Frederick Street as a microcosm of the whole nation and you interviewed people and you asked them, name 3 of our national goals, I think people will be hard put to come up with answers. And the reason for that is that they have not really been articulated, and in the rare instances where they may have been articulated, they are not promoted. And Sir Charles, I have this thing about reporting something and promoting something as being 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
You can report something and it get lost in the flow. But when you promote something, then it is in people's minds, it's in people's eyesight. It takes hold of their consciousness. And of course, our advertisers understand that very clearly. Apparently, our governments do not, because there should be a national consciousness of some of the goals that we have now. So, Charles, over the last week, I came across something which I thought I would share. If I can locate it here. I came across something called the Human Development Index. All right. I don't know, have you ever heard about the Human Development Index?
Yeah, actually, I have heard about it.
Okay, good. So it is a measure, a UN mechanism used to measure the development of the various of any country. And browsing through my Google last week, I came across this interesting thing, and I couldn't ignore it. You know, it was about St. Vincent and about their Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves. Here's what it says. The headline was St. Vincent and the Grenadines, SVG, surpasses China on the HDI. And here's how it reads. It says St. Vincent and the Grenadines has made tremendous progress on the United Nations Human Development Index, surpassing even global powers such as China in the area of human development. The HDI is the index used by the UN to measure the progress of a country and features 192 countries. The data used in the preparation of the 2025 Human Development Report was released on the 6th of May, 2025. According to the United Nations Development Programme, the leading UN organization focused on international development, St. Vincent and the Grenadines ranked 76 on the HDI in 2025. This country is above Grenada, which is 80, Dominica, which is 98, and St. Lucia, which is 103. The data used, of course, you know, the question that everybody's mind is where Trinidad is, but I'm coming to that. The data used in the indices and other human development indicators included were provided by a variety of public international sources and represent the best statistics available for those indicators at the time of the preparation of the Human Development Report. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, speaking on HDI on Wednesday during the NBC's Radio Morning Cup program, said that SVG on the UN's HDI shows a steady upward movement over the past quarter century. He said the index itself has changed in composition, but the trend is undeniable, and as a nation, we must continue that trajectory. Referencing the success of countries like Switzerland, Singapore, and St. Vincent itself, Dr. Gonsalves emphasized the power of specialization, smart planning, and intellectual capital in national development. But you're talking my language. He said that Switzerland is a first world country without a heavy industry, while Singapore has carved its space in finance and services, and that we in SVG, small as we are in landmass, are larger than Switzerland when we include our maritime space. The PM said SVG can reach to first world status and urged citizens, especially the younger generation, to envision their role in shaping SVG by 2050. So Charles, let me read that again. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is quoted as saying that St. Vincent and the Grenadines can reach the first world status and urged citizens, especially the younger generation to envision their role in shaping St. Vincent and the Grenadines by 2050. You know, say, Charles, you know, I couldn't let that pass. All right? Couldn't let that pass. To begin with, he has identified a target date. Oh, Sir Charles, that is so critical. You know, in my model, in my what I call it, my template for development, for wealth creation and / development, I have identified the need to specify a date by which you want to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. And I have been throwing out on this program the concept. I've asked the question to many of my guests: where do you see Trinidad and Tobago being by 2050? So you see where he quote 2050 there at all, he gave me attention one time. And I want you to pay attention to what he has said. He is urging all citizens, but especially the younger generation, to envision their role in shaping St. Vincent and the Grenadines by 2050. What's the title we give to our program, Sir Charles?
Every cent counts.
Cent counts. Apparently, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, into this every cent counts thing, because he is urging all citizens, but especially the younger ones, to understand that they have a part to play in establishing St. Vincent as a first world nation by 2050. Now, Sir Charles, you see that? If that idea is promoted in a sustained manner in SVG, then whenever you go and visit St. Vincent or any of the Grenadines and you talk with the people, you will hear that talk running. All right? We're going to be a first world country by 2050. Now, you see, Sir Charles, some people will say they're dreaming. Well, you know, they say all great men are dreamers.
Of course.
Okay? If you don't have a dream, Sir Charles, you don't stand a chance. Now, you must have a plan as well as a dream. But you have to have the dream, because it's this dream that inspires the plan, all right? That brings about the mental activity, the massaging of our brain, of our, what I call it on this show, Sir Charles? Our prime resource is our brain / mind, all right? And you, in order for the mind to generate what it can generate, you have to massage it. And one of the things you have to do in massaging it is that you have to give it some specifics. You must say, this is what I want to get. And this is by this time, this is when that must happen. And here we have right here reported, I think by the St. Vincent Times. All right, I didn't even know they had a St. Vincent Times, but I'm learning as we go along. All right, what their Prime Minister has said. He has been bold enough to articulate the goal of moving the nation, which is on an upward trajectory. He hastens to point out, all right, of moving them from 76th on the HDI to becoming a first world nation. Now, you know, the HDI index runs from 0 to 1. All right. So you have, if you are above 0.5, anything below 0.5, you're in bad shape. All right. But anything above 0.5, you are moving, or you are located in a good position. So, Sir Charles, you have any idea where Trinidad resides on the HDI?
I'm very curious.
Well, St. Vincent is 76, and they say they're ahead of China. All right?
Right.
You know where we are? We are 60. We are 60. So we are ahead of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Not surprisingly. All right? But we are 60. We are 60 on the HDI, on the Human Development Index. But I want to look at that Human Development Index. But before I do that, okay, I want to continue to read the article from Ralph Gonzalez. He said that a national awakening, oh my goodness, man talking my language, Sir Charles. Yeah. He said that a national awakening, one rooted in education, innovation, and cultural pride. Boy, Sir Charles, this man spot on. What he described as an empire of the mind, Sir Charles.
Yeah, so he's talking to you directly. He's talking your kind of language there.
Talking my language, man. He's communicating at a very high level, an empire of the mind. Well, you know, Sir Charles, I gave me one time. And he said that these things, a national awakening, one rooted in education, innovation, and cultural pride, what he described as an empire of the mind, can drive the country's future growth and resilience in a rapidly evolving global landscape. Yes? Man, the guy knows what he's talking about. And you know, I think he's one of the most well-loved prime ministers in the Caribbean, Sir Charles. Yes. You know, I understand that he walks through the town without any set of pomp and fanfare. Sure, it must have some security present, but you know, they're not very obvious. But he is a man of the people, Sir Charles. He's a man of the people. The people love him. And you could see why. All right? The Prime Minister said that having laid the foundations in infrastructure, education, and social development, the next stage is to focus on advanced science and applied technology. So you can tell where his head is at. All right, but I such as this, you would not believe how refreshing it was to read this thing, because this is right here in the Caribbean. You know? How far away St. Vincent is by here, Sir Charles?
About I'm not too sure.
45 minutes.
It's not too far.
It ain't far. It's just up the road. It's just up the road, and here we have right here in the Caribbean. You see that I am emphasizing that now because we have a lot of people who always feel that we should just, you know, keep a little tail quiet, all right, because we are a little tiny dot on the world map. But here we have a tinier dot, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, all right, a tinier dot with many other little tiny dots. That is St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And here we have their Prime Minister articulating a national vision with a target date of 2050. Man alive. Such as, you know, last week we had Errol Fabian on the show, on the program, and we had an excellent discussion with himself and his little granddaughter Jade. That was very, very enjoyable. I don't know how it came across to you, but to me, Jade's presence on the program, you know, added a dimension that is not normally there. Because, and she's a typical little child, you know, I don't know, she must be 3 or 4 years old, if so long, 2 to 3, somewhere in that 2 to 4 year range.
What was important about it, and we may not even recognize it, but that is the seed in the forest that we talk about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100% there. So we had this discussion and we were talking about culture and we were talking about national development and of the need to raise the consciousness. We were exploring ways, things that we could do to help people to become more conscious of the need for national development and to become more conscious of the fact that they have the capacity and they have a role to play in terms of moving this nation forward on a pathway to national development. So I am going to continue my quest, Charles. I am asking our people outside there via this new era radio, this new era TT radio, sorry, all right, to begin to think and to think hard and to ask the question, how can we as a nation move forward? And more importantly, to ask the question, how can I, in terms of my talents and abilities, in terms of where I am located in space, time, and history, how can I contribute? You see, Sir Charles, you see that personal question there? That's a critical question, because when you say, how can we, you could get lost in we,
Yes.
You could lose yourself in we and escape your personal or try to escape your personal responsibility. But I am determined, Sir Charles, in every way that I can, to help people to understand that they have great value and that they bring a whole lot to the table. You don't have to be a prime minister or a politician. You don't have to be a doctor or a lawyer. Every man in the street has capacity to make a significant contribution to moving this nation forward. Everyone has that chance. And it is great to see a Caribbean Prime Minister. You see, I nearly get catched in the trap, the West Indian trap. Such as, I am consciously rejecting this whole West Indian concept. Talk to me about the Caribbean. For the life of me, I don't know how we arrive at West Indians. Okay? All right? Because the bulk of people who came and who are now living in the Caribbean are composed of people from Africa, as well as India, as well as other Asian countries. But even before all of those, Sir Charles, we have the first people.
Yes, we do.
We have the first people. So how did we become the West Indies? That is something, I don't know if Mr. Hotep or any of our other listeners could give me a little background on that. I would really like to know how we become the West Indies. Of course, now you have the whole issue of the West Indies cricket. Now, notice it's not Caribbean cricket, but notice it is the CPL.
Yeah.
It's not the WIPL. All right? It is the CPL, it's the Caribbean Premium League. I think that is a positive sign, Sir Charles, because we need to own ourselves. We need to understand who we are. All right? Was it Bob Marley who says that if you don't know where you come from, I'm not too sure if it's Bob. If you don't know where you come from, you can't know where you're going.
Yeah,
all right? All right? But those are very, very critical issues, Sir Charles, that we have to treat with. And you can tell, I am tremendously heartened that a West Indian, sorry, you see power habits, Sir Charles, that a Caribbean, that a Caribbean Prime Minister should be on the ball to the extent of urging his citizens, especially the young, all right, to move, to envision their role. You see how it is articulated there, Sir Charles. He's urging them to, and he's not just urging them to do something to help the country move forward.
Right.
He is saying, envision your role in shaping St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be a first world nation by 2050. Sir Charles, I could move to St. Vincent, because I could identify with that. This is exactly what I have been asking for us to do in Trinidad. All right, there needs to be someone, and I mean, the Prime Minister is an excellent person to do it, but they don't have to be the Prime Minister. We need to have a griot. You know what's a griot, Sir Charles? A griot.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
The griot is like the storyteller.
Absolutely. But not just a storyteller. He's the historian. All right?
Yeah.
He's a storyteller, but he's the historian of the village in Africa. He could go back generations to talk about exploits and about events and so on, which was a part of the creation of the village culture. And so, when I think of griot, I think the first person that comes to my mind, Sir Charles, is David Rudder. I find I would classify him as a griot. All right. And along with him, I would talk about Brother Valentino. All right. And we have our share of griots, but we need somebody. And you see, Sir Charles, I think I put my finger on it there, because through our stories, what is it? By Calypso's, our stories are told. And that's a line?
Yes, it is.
All right. By Calypso, our stories are told. And we need to have our people begin to think about first world status, whatever that might be. But we have to define it. And I want to go come back to this HDI thing. All right. And I will tell you what are the 3 elements that lead to the setting up of this HDI, this Human Development Index, the things that they take into consideration in determining what the index is. All right, here's it. Here's what they say. They say it is a composite statistic used to rank countries by their level of human development, which encompasses 3 key dimensions: a long and healthy life, access to knowledge, and a decent standard of living. So Charles, you know what missing there?
No,
you
go
know
ahead.
What missing there? Because you know me and standard of living. All right. My preferred phrase is quality of life. Quality of life. So, but the three key dimensions used by the UN's, as the United Nations HDI, Human Development Index, is 1, a long and healthy life, 2, access to knowledge, and 3, a decent standard of living. It provides a broader perspective on national development than solely economic indicators like GDP. All right? Now, Sir Charles, that has been my emphasis. My emphasis has been that we can't just measure our growth and our development in terms of dollars and cents. There is much more to development than just dollars and cents. And when you consider that every individual has an enormous capacity to develop themselves, and my favorite reference when I talk about that, Sir Charles, and I may have spoken about it on the program already, is the reality that science has shown that we are using less than 10% of our brain power. Yes? There are over 40 billion neurons in our brain. 10% of 40, if I wasn't too good at arithmetic in school, but 10% of 40 had to be 4.
Yeah.
Yes? So if we are using less than 4%, Sir Charles, less than 4%, that leaves over 36% of capacity unused. So on the basis of that, I'm saying, A, there is serious capacity for the development of every human being on the planet. And to be more specific, every human being, every Trinbagonian, we should not sell ourselves short. there are certain things that we may not be particularly good at. Like this computer thing, such as, this computers drive me around a bend with all these passwords and I have enough little things that they have on this computer that I do not understand. I keep telling people I'm a computer user. All right. And when I get accustomed to an interface and then they change the interface, it creates a learning curve for me and stuff. But I keep telling myself, Garth, if you're using less than 4% of your capacity, then you could master this thing. You just have to apply yourself and work at it consistently, and you will be able to develop mastery in these areas. And such as that is as true of me, is as true of every other human being on the planet, every other Trinbagonian. We have capacity for growth. And we need to stick at date. You see, like 2050, 2050 is my preferred date, because we're in 2025 now. 25 years of the millennium has gone, all right, or at least of this century. 25 years have gone. We have another 25 years ahead of us. That's one range that you can use. We can also say that since 1962, we have been independent. Now we are heading for our 63rd anniversary of independence. What is Trinidad and Tobago going to look like when we hit our 100th anniversary? All right, because our 100th anniversary will be next 37 years, not so? All right, 37 years again to go. So that if by 2050, which is 25 years down the road, okay, we can really move this country. And I'm telling you, my desire, if they ask for my vision for 2050, I will tell you I am looking for a country where we have a high quality of life. I have nothing wrong with a high standard of living, Sir Charles, but I'm looking for a high quality of life. And you say, well, God, how do you determine a high quality of life? And I will tell you very easily. It is determined by the quality of the relationships we have with the people who live in our world. How well do we treat our families, friends, and people in the community? All right? To what extent do we really care about their well-being? All right? You have all these indices in the world. They have a happiness index, I think, and I don't think we rank very high as a happy people. I must check that one out, because that is an intangible. But happiness is important, no question about that. And happiness has to be distinguished, such as from pleasure, because you can have a moment of pleasure, but moments of pleasure in themselves do not equate with happiness. Happiness and joy are long-lasting, sustainable states of mind. And I would feel that those kinds of things are very critical in terms of determining what is the quality of life. If you live in a caring community, such as, you really don't have any worries, because life will happen. Stuff will occur. Bad stuff, sad stuff. Okay? But if you are living in a community of people who care, then you know that whatever happens, somebody has your back. Yes? Somebody will be looking out for you. Somebody will be looking out for your children when you can't see them. All right? When they walk in the road. Somebody is looking out for them. That's a chance to me is so critical in terms of quality of life. Quality of life. And between you and me, Sir Charles, we have a relatively good quality of life in Trinidad. I don't know if you agree with that. You agree with that?
If we have a what?
A relatively good quality of life in Trinidad.
Relatively, yes.
Yeah, relatively. Which means to say we recognize that we could do much better.
Yeah.
But you see, we have to think along those lines. This is my point in raising up these issues, that I really want to stir the national consciousness in the area of development. and not just development of infrastructure. Infrastructure don't be breed, Sir Charles. Infrastructure is for us to enable us to operate more effectively and more efficiently. All right. So infrastructure is important. I'm not dissing infrastructure in any way, but I am saying, where are you going to put infrastructure in the whole mix of things in trying to determine quality of life? I really would love it if the UN agreed with the whole issue in looking at the whole issue of human development index, that element of quality of life as against standard of living should be engaged. So the key dimensions and indicators of national development, what is this? Is the human development index is one, a long and healthy life, which is measured by life expectancy at birth. Access to knowledge, which is measured by mean years of schooling for adults and expected years of schooling for children. And the third thing is, like I said, a decent standard of living. And that standard of living is measured by gross national income per capita, adjusted for purchasing power parity. All right. There's another article that I saw online today about the US dollar and the value of the US dollar and how that is calculated and so on. It was a very interesting article, but I'm not going to go to that today. All right. Now, Sir Charles, for the last couple of weeks, we have hogged the time of the program, and we have left very little scope for our listeners, and
Right.
we have some very dedicated listeners to the program and stuff, and I don't want to be guilty of that today. And I see that the clock ticks remorselessly, relentlessly.
It does not wait.
And it's already 20 minutes to 12. So I want us to, I've aired a couple things. I've looked at St. Vincent and the Grenadines and where they are heading, where they are now and where they are heading, and where we are. Our ranking is a 0.8, Sir Charles. You remember I said 0.5 is like the bottom of the it's the middle of the scale, but if you're below 0.5, you're in trouble. But we are at 0.8, and we have maintained 0.8 for quite some time. I'm not too sure if we are on the ascendancy or the descendancy.
Yeah, but we level off.
Well, we level off at 0.8.
And St. Vincent is at what point? St. Vincent is at what point?
I think they're at 0.7.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. I checked it, but I don't have it. I don't have it right at my fingertips here. All right. But certainly they are 70th. They are 76th, sorry, and we are 60th on the ranking.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to welcome any inputs from
our
listeners.
Of course we do. So people, this is where you can get in on the show now. 2811315. That's 2811315. If you're out of the jurisdiction, of course, 868 before that. So let me say 868-281-1315. You can regular call us or you can WhatsApp call us. Talk with God this morning.
Yeah. So the purpose and significance, whilst we await the calls, because you can interrupt me at any time, the purpose and significance of the Human Development Index is to shift the focus from solely economic growth to the well-being and capabilities of people. Now, Sir Charles, I like that. Because when they say well-being, they're moving toward the concept of quality of life. And it's well-being and capabilities. I find that those are very significant things, Charles, because, Sir Charles, you realize that, again, this is referring to human potential. All right, when you talk about capabilities of people, and we have to develop a greater awareness of the fact that we have these capabilities, that we're not dumb, all right, that we're not at the bottom of the pile, all right, that we have enormous capacity for personal growth. And you know, every cent counts speaks to the individual. But these days I'm using a broader context because you see the individual operates within a particular context. And you have to be sensitive to the context within which you operate if you are going to maximize your potential. And I really want to have that conversation buzzing, such as, you know, the need for us to recognize, one, that we have tremendous value individually, and that one person can make a difference. And that one person could be you. It could be me. Let us put our hands up and step forward and say, we can make a difference. All right? Yeah. Let us make the difference because we have the capability. And if we learn how to communicate, if we learn how to persuade, and you know, such as I'm in the Toastmasters organization, and Toastmasters, I'm in it deliberately because Toastmasters is about developing these two critical skills. One, developing the art of oral communication, and two, developing leadership. And such as, you know, our country needs, we have plenty of talkers, but
For that.
we have no shortage of talkers. But we need leaders, such as, and we need leaders who are action people, not just talkers. You know, there's a room for talk, but talk must lead to action. So I really hope that more and more people begin to talk about where we are. And I deliberately brought St. Vincent into the focus this morning, all right? Because we have a way of looking down on what we call the small islanders. But such as, you know, it have a lot of people in Trinidad now who are Trinidadians, but who have Vincentian roots. You know that?
Yeah, of course.
We have
a few of them well.
Yes, we have quite a healthy of Vincentians. Of course, we always tend to focus on the Grenadians. All right. Thankfully, we don't have any prime ministers and leaders who are taking a kind of Trump position about people who don't belong, who they say don't belong. But these people belong, such as they have been here for a long time. They have roots there. They have children and grandchildren, and they have aunts and uncles and stuff in St. Vincent. And to me, that is a tremendous basis upon which to build Caribbean unity. And there's a serious need for Caribbean unity. And if every one of the islands do like St. Vincent and the Grenadines and focus on their national development and understand that for them to develop as a nation, they have to cultivate, and I love that word, Sir Charles, cultivate. They have to cultivate powerful and positive relationships with the rest of the Caribbean, because all of us in the same boat. What does the Calypsonian say? Is the same ship?
Yeah.
All right. That was Jahaji Bai.
Yeah. Same place, the same ship.
Same trip. Same ship. All right. And we have so much in common. And yet we are all different. You know, when you talk about unity and diversity, if there was ever an opportunity for unity and diversity, it is the Caribbean. We have such a fabulous heritage and such fabulous people. So I really want to take my hat off to Dr. Ralph Gonzalez there in St. Vincent, a man of the people. And, you know, I think because of the relationship that I feel that St. Vincent might be better positioned with him having this vision, with him having this understanding that all citizens must be involved, especially the young ones, and with his request and demanding of them that they envision what role they have to play, such as, and I can't get over that.
Yeah, and that is so true. We have a caller morning.
Great morning to you, Sir Charles, and a great morning to you, Mr. Thomas.
And to
Great
you, sir.
morning, Junior.
Great morning.
Um, all right, so I listened in the conversation, and I don't want to say wishful thinking, right? Because again, now you're saying something that and now you're saying something that is true, right? Because Trinidad and Tobago, right? It has people from the different parts of the island which we are intertwined, right? So like it has people who their grandparents and therefore fathers would have came from the small islands and came to Trinidad, right? Mr. Thomas and Sir Charles, right? And then we also have, we also have a multicultural society in terms of multi-ethnic society. So again, so in terms of, so that is what could be, it lies that it could be a beauty about our country, Trinidad and Tobago, right? In terms of, and I'm gonna speak honestly here, Mr. Thomas, right? In terms of, on terms like how they say like St. Vincent talk about a national plan, right? Our national plan here, right? I don't know. Again, I don't know if we allow too much of the politics, right? Because if you were to take away the politics, right, which we can't, we understand this is the age and we living in, because they talk about the 2020 vision, right?
Yes.
That we had. Then we talk about 2030 vision, right? Even coming to up to date, right? We not even aware what are the plans and the goals, right? Not wanting to be political. So we have some serious, again, and as I saying, let's have a conversation. Let's have a national conversation, because at the end of the day, if we have a national conversation, have a national drive, have a national plan, Trinidad, the people of Trinidad and Tobago could only benefit.
Absolutely.
Right? Once we, every sector, every person could be a part of the vision, and you're talking about communicating, and you're talking about leaders, right? And again, you question again, and come into question, we question our leaders, right? Because again, our leaders, those, I don't know if they don't see themselves as, as national and futuristic, Hey, I could see where Ola cannot see. Let me take Ola a place that Ola, you might, yes, of course, you will get people disagreeing, but then, right? So then when it actually come and happen, so like for example, we talk about Patrick Munn, yes, he would have faced criticism, but then yet even people who were critical of him could have said, at least I saw a vision in Patrick Manning, Mr. Manning, right? So Mr. Thomas, in a person who is looking on a person that is for Trinidad and Tobago, and as you're rightfully saying, now I would agree with you about the greatness in each and every individual. We are unique, and there is greatness in each and every individual. It's just for us now to bring that greatness out and not be afraid to bring it out, not be afraid to have the conversation. Part of having the conversation is, again, and accepting that, hey, somebody mightn't see your view, and you could respect the other person's view while you share your view. Part of the ethnicity composition is that, hey, I can appreciate other person of a different ethnicity, and could respect that person, right? While they, on the other hand, could do the same for me. And you don't have to necessarily be African, you don't have to be Indian, but we thinking along, we have the ideology of, hey, this is Trinidad, and everybody can enjoy the space, the national space of Trinidad and Tobago. And with the first people was here. Don't ask me where they come from, right? Because Christopher Columbus himself come and meet them here.
Right.
Right down, so right down, Mr. Thomas and Mr. So they were here first. I mean,
Yes.
and so there's so again, and there's so much beauty, natural beauty about Trinidad and Tobago. At one point in time, though, Mr. Garth, I think we were rated. I think it could be just before just before the COVID, we were rated right among the happiest people. Right?
Okay.
I could try to go back and see if I could get back the article, and I could try to select a search where I think just before COVID. After COVID, so again we also speak in nationality. We have spoke but honestly, and I don't mean to sound a negative, but you don't get a sense that there is a national because the politician the infighting. So sometimes one set might agree with this with this leader, and then the other set I'm disagree, right? So I don't know. You are help us.
You can't see us. Yeah. Thanks very much, Junior.
Thanks, Junior.
So why they would want all of these great things to happen? Probably, I don't know. In reality, let's say and say like we may not be able to get at watching how people are heading now. How do we get people to change the direction that they are going, the way that they treat people, the way they do things? And I think that is the challenge in getting and achieving all of this.
Yeah, well, you see that it's a question of adjusting perspectives. You see, when you have a very narrow perspective and you're only thinking about me, myself, and I, and what I can get, and you're not, you can't see the forest for the trees, I think is the saying that they have. You're so close up to things that you cannot see the bigger picture. And that is why what I'm hoping as a result of what I bring to this program, that people widen their perspective, that they understand that they have a place in the scheme of things, that they don't have to fear for that place, but they just have to recognize themselves and their potential and to engage activity that by which that potential could grow and flourish. And you see, that's where I come back to my word, to the term cultivate. Cultivate. I don't know why that term has such resonance in my mind, Sir Charles. Because cultivation. When I think of cultivation, you know what image flashes in my mind, Sir Charles, and I'm happy to see that this still is happening in our educational system. I remember taking a red bean and putting it in a bottle with some blotting paper, wet blotting paper, and watching that germination process.
Yeah, watching that.
Right? Yes. And that is the start of a cultivation process that leads from a seed to a tree or to a plant. And it could lead to a forest, because the saying is that there's a forest in every tree. I'm sorry, there's a forest in every seed. There's a forest in every seed. And that speaks to really the tremendous capacity and potential that there is for growth and development that is positive, and that we can all engage in it. So I want to encourage people to check that thing out in the St. Vincent Times. Read that article. That's the article. That's one of the articles such as you want to cut out and paste and have it in view, because I tell you, I am tremendously heartened to find out that Ralph Gonzalez's head is in that kind of a direction. Hopefully. And I was listening to, when you listen to Mia Motley as well, I think there's hope for the Caribbean. I think there's hope for the Caribbean, and by extension, there's hope for ourselves. Or maybe I should put it the other way around. That there's hope for us, and there's hope for the Caribbean. But we are all part of the brew, Sir Charles.
We are. That's how we're going to have to leave it for today, Garth. So let's say people get in contact with you, and then we're going to put a camera.
Sure. All right. I can be reached by WhatsApp at 680-3185. 680-3185. 3185. WhatsApp me, send me a message, give me a name, give me an email address, and we can converse. In the
Okay.
meantime, envision the role that you have to play in moving this country to first world status by 2050. Let's Trinidad and Tobago and St. Vincent reach there at the same time. That would be great.
Okay, no problem. God, thank you
All right.
very much, and looking forward to talk with you again, God's willing, next Monday. Okay.
Yes, will do.
All right, people, you're listening to New Era TT Radio, and of course, this has been Every Cent Counts with Garth Thomas. We have our total news that is just a few minutes away.
Yes, power. Dollars for men for riches, get respect, and if it's more than what we have. Now it's not telling money that shut you buy. It's what you want and you can afford to buy. No matter what you do or how hard you try, when it's gold, it's more than your eye. That's why I want more money, plenty money. I want big money. I want money, 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 money. Money like Nissan, money like Entity, money like Mukudan. You need Naira money, that's the hard money, easy money, could be bad money. I say any money good for me. Prices on the up, inflation is not stop. More chance getting rich, selling short.